Hello and welcome to the PMDG 737-600, and today we're doing a startup tutorial, so let's get into it. Alright, we are in the beautiful 737 cockpit. What we firstly want to do is make sure our fuel pumps are all set to on, so we don't have to worry about that later. Let's just let that load. Alright, you can see that it's perfectly on, and we have 54% fuel, which is enough for like a decently medium haul flight. Alright, now what we want to do is turn on our battery. You can see mine is already on, but I'm just going to turn that off and then back on. Boom. Now we want to go ahead and just close that. You want to go ahead to the standby power, flick that, and then you want to go to battery. Now what we want to do is go ahead and turn on our generators, even though they're already on. I'm just going to do that again, just to be sure. Now we want to turn on our ground power, which is already on. We want to go ahead and go to the electrical panel, and then we want to switch the two middle switches to on. It's also known as the hydraulic pumps. Now what we want to do is head over to here and then turn off the packs. That's all we need to do for the panel over here. Now what we want to do is go ahead and we want to go up here and go to align. That should say align, and then go back to nav. Perfect. Now we can see your damper is on. Alright, now what we're going to do is turn on our APU. So flick that to start. Packs are already off. Now let's go ahead and check. Boom, it started successfully. Now we can go ahead and enable our APU bleed. Now what we want to do is head over to our FMC panel, which is down here. We want to go ahead and go to Flight Simulator Actions, go to Doors, and we're going to go ahead and close the left door, which is the boarding door. Closing. As you can see, there's a beautiful animation of it closing. Now we're going to go ahead and go to Return Ground Services. We need to keep the ground power unit here. So if I just go next page, make sure all of this is good. We're going to release the stairs for the one left, which is that right there. Going to release the stairs, and we're going to release the pack stairs, which is already on stairs, which is perfect. You can see it's releasing, because we don't want the door to be open while the engines are turning on, because, yep, we just don't want that. Now let's go ahead to the next page. We're going to release the FWD loader and the AFT loader, which is those two right here, that and that. And this is also our ground power unit, which is right there, which is usually connected to something else, but yep. Let's go and wait for this. You can see that our APU is fully started now. Right, now all we have to do, go into the cockpit again, make sure our APU gens are on, but you can see it worked. Now what we have to do is go ahead and go to ground for our engine start, which is right up here. Make sure that is on both, and then switch engine number 2 to ground, GRD. Always start number 2 first or number 1 first. Don't start them both at the same time, because I don't know, it's just unrealistic in my opinion. Make sure that's starting, that's at 2%. We can flick that lever up, which is below the throttle quadrant. And then, as we can see, that is fully starting the engines. Which, if we go down to here, we can see the engines are starting. I'll zoom in. There we go. But that one's not started yet because that's engine 1, which we're going to start soon. Alright, once that gets to 20% at least, we're going to start engine number 2. Time to start engine number 2. Go up to the engine start panel. Go over here, which it should say 1 underneath. Alright, that should switch to off, which is number 2, which is perfect. Now we have to go to GRD, ground. And then we can see it's switching to idle. Perfect. Now we can flick the lever up. Make sure it doesn't say any engine failures. Perfect. Once it gets to 500, we're going to release the ground power cart, also known as the GPU cart, ground power unit. Right, this should be enough. Once it's started, we can turn on our lights, so anti-collision, wing, and logo. Now we can turn on our taxi lights. Once they're switched to off, we can go ahead and turn off the APU, enable the packs, and then disable the APU bleed, because the APU was just to keep some pressure or something inside of the cabin before we actually start everything else. Alright, we're going to make sure engine gens are on, boom, and then ground powered off because we're not using that anymore. We're going to go ahead to our FMC panel, go return. We're going to go to our ground services and then release our ground power unit. As we can see, there's a cool there's not a cool animation, it just disappears, which is sad. As you can see, it's disappeared and we have perfectly started up. I don't know why there's people standing there when the engines are right there. So basically that's all we have to do to start a 737 engine. If you want more tutorials like this, just let me know and I'll teach you how to do anything you want in the 737 series, which is a 600, 800, 700, and 900, or the NXJ, I think it is, next gen, I don't even know. But PMDG has very realistic models for only a low price. I bought the 737-600 for only $50, which is in US it is about $30. So yeah, thanks for watching. That's how to start up the PMDG 737-600 engine. See you in the next one.